Saturday, Coach?
Uh, Saturday we played against I thought a really good team, and in a good environment, and we didn't play good. So that's not a very good combination for sure. But I think the what I thought were the keys really when Tom and I do the pregame show, he always asks me that on Thursdays, and I've had a whole week to look at them, and unlike this morning, but he asked me the keys to victory, and I said we have to run the football to try to limit the opportunities they get on offense, and then from a defense perspective, we have to not give up the big play, the explosive plays. The week before against Air Force gave up, 3 or 4 explosive plays, and that's how they scored 50 on Air Force, and felt like that we needed to force them to drive the field like we did on the first drive. Our defense did, and then on offense, I felt like we needed to be able to run the ball to try to limit the opportunities they had. And so anyway, we didn't do either one of them. So that's to me, I thought were the keys, and we didn't accomplish either one of those two as an offensive unit or as a defensive unit. But look, I've been doing this a while. I felt like I didn't know anything about Utah State, nothing. And so Sunday night we finished, which I always do. I sit down and watch, the last 2 or 3 games. In this case, they only had 3 games, not from a necessarily a game plan perspective, but because you don't have your cut ups by down and distance or by personnel at that time. We don't get those to today. But I just sit down and just thumb through it and go through and kind of watch and get a feel of the team. And so I watched all 3 games, and it was late Sunday night, and Tyler Bullfing was still here, and I walked in there and, hey man, these guys are pretty good. Just watching them, and I was impressed with them on offense. I thought they could do a lot of things. Defensively, I was impressed with their front going into the game because even Texas A&M did not big boy them at all. Texas A&M made some plays with their athletic quarterback and stuff. So anyway, I was impressed with them, and give them credit. I thought they did a good job, and we just had a hard time, like I said, accomplishing what we wanted to accomplish. Stephen F. I'm impressed looking at them. They're impressive to me looking at from a measurable standpoint, from a talent standpoint, and really impressive too. I'm impressed how veteran they are, especially in today's football with the portal and all those things. I mean, at least what they have listed on their depth chart. I mean, they have 14 or 15 senior starters of the 22. That's impressive. 14 seniors, 4 juniors, 4 sophomores. Their top 3 tailbacks are all seniors. For the 6 wideouts they list are seniors. All front 4 of their defense are seniors, including 2 backups. So that's impressive, and kudos to them. I mean, I think I've always felt like that it's about roster building, roster management, and they've done a fantastic job of that. I mean, if you can keep together that kind of those kind of numbers and those kind of seniors and stuff, and especially at the FCS level, I mean, it's very very impressive. But Kobe Carthel is their head coach. I've known Coach Carthel. I've always been impressed with Coach Carthel. He's a Texas guy. I think he started at Abilene and then went to West Texas as defensive coordinator. Became the head coach at Commerce, won a national championship there. I thought he did a great job there. And then, of course, I think he's done a really good job at Stephen F. But I got to know Coach Carthel, and like I said, have a lot of respect for him. We have a mutual friend in Ryan Ivey, and who used to work here with us, and Ryan hired him at Commerce and at Stephen F. And so I've got to spend some time with Coach Carthel, like I said, through Ryan Ivey and stuff, and been really impressed with what he's done there. I think he's a really solid football coach. He's always had good teams, and he's got another one this year too. So offensively, it starts with their quarterback. I think he's a really good player, and he's been there a little while. Like I said, they rotate 3 running backs. They're all seniors. They're all a little different, but they're good football players. They have 2 6 2 6 3 guys on the outside receivers, and then the inside guy is the playmaker. So kind of the setup you want. Defensively, I think they're really good on defense, but for especially at this level of football, their front guys are really impressive when you look at their defensive front across the board. And so they've been really impressive, and they've been very stingy this year when it comes to the yards they're giving up, which I think somewhere is in the 250 range, I think. And so they got a good football team. We have to play better. That's my main focus and the main focus of our coaches, whatever, and trying to get our guys in better positions to play better. But we certainly have have our hands full this week with a very impressive looking football team. But we'll go down there and so really that's all I know about them right now. We're a little bit behind this week, because of when we got back and stuff. But we'll catch up. We'll catch up with due to a late start yesterday and or early start, however you look at it. But uh, so anyway, we'll catch up and stay a little bit later the next couple nights and get caught up here and put together a game plan when our guys can go over and be successful. Questions?
You've given up 7 touchdowns from 30 yards or more. The big plays. Has it been any one thing you've seen, or
It's really, to be honest with you, we talked about that yesterday as a staff. It's been a combination of different things. Couple times, their guys just make good plays. So, but what we gotta as a staff and stuff. I mean, it's the ones that you shouldn't give up, or the ones we're concerned about.
The secondary.
Go ahead.
The secondary. What did you see? Breakdowns and miscoverages, receivers getting behind.
We missed a couple coverages, no question. Obviously, on one of them, we missed a tackle, and that was that's something that can't happen. But yeah, I mean, we missed a couple coverages. Certainly two I can remember, and like I said, one of them was a missed tackle, and you know, one of them I thought he made a really good throw. Kid laid out for it and caught it and stuff. So I think it's a combination. I'm trying to think back. I think it's just a combination of all the things, and stuff. Like I said, not necessarily one thing you put your finger on or one player. It's just eyes in bad spots. They did some good things offensively. They got in some two back sets in motion and did things, but you have to be really disciplined when you play. And we knew that going in, what they were going to do, and they were going to do different stuff. And you have to have really good eye discipline and stuff. And a few of the plays we didn't.
what did you see from your offense?
Not enough. Like I said, and maybe to a fault, but we thought we had to run it, and as a result, we ended up not throwing it as good as we have. But I just felt like going into the game that you know we had to try to establish a run game to try to keep them off the field as much as we could and stuff, because they've been explosive on offense against pretty much everybody they played. And the week before, especially after I watched the Air Force game, I mean, they just, hey, look, I mean, we can't just, you know, we can't give them what we end up doing. They ran 50 plays in the first half. I mean, come on, so I felt like as an offense, we had, that was, and it goes both ways. It's offense has to stay on the field, defense has to get them off the field. So it's a combination of both. It always is. But we didn't do enough offensively, and then we got ourselves behind the chains and stuff, and then third and 8 to third and 13 were the first ones that we had on third down conversions, and it's tough. Playing in that kind of environment with that kind of crowd, with that kind of talent. I mean, you don't want to get yourself in those positions, and we did.
The one question for you is, when you were here 9 years ago, 10 years ago, the difference between non-Power Fives and FCS didn't seem like it was that great. Is it greater now because of NIL? Do you think, or is it just harder to play catch up? Or
I think it's, I don't know. That's hard to say because I haven't watched. And I'd have to actually, but I don't know. That's a good question because I think that, look, I thought we matched up with Lafayette, and a play or two here, but I didn't think we matched up real good last week. Now I don't know. I mean, I'd have to go watch. Now this is the team we played last week that's transitioning,
Yeah.
to the Pac-12, and obviously they have some stuff going. If you can sign 34-year FBS transfers, guys that have played before too. I mean, running back, I mean, quarterback, the wide receiver from UCLA. I mean, these guys have played. I mean, just right off the top of my head and stuff. So, I thought they were a little different looking when I watched them on tape. Look, we could have played way better than that, and certainly been in the game a lot longer than that. But I was impressed watching them and stuff, and watching them on tape, and then seeing them live. And I think you put that in there, and they have a, I guess nobody was here, but Matt, they had a really cool home environment that was loud and whatever. And like I said, you get behind the chains and you get third down, and you know, I think at other places, well, okay, your team's used to that, and because you play in it every week, that's a little different for us. And I was concerned with that to get into the 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12s, where you have to change protection, and they showing 4 over here, then dropping off and bringing 4 over there, and you got to communicate all that and stuff. And we got hit a few times, and stuff that we didn't communicate. So I think they have some good stuff going. So get back to your question, Jim. I'm sorry, I'm babbling, but I'd have to watch more, I think, to be able to assess that.
How much you think their growth was with just getting Bronco kind of the brand name to get kids there?
I think he's obviously been successful wherever he's been, and then he's from the state of Utah, and so, but no, he's been successful pretty much if you go back everywhere he's been. But his biggest success was at Brigham Young, was in the state of Utah and stuff. So, really really class guy. So I wish the best for him, but they got it going on.
What do you need to do that you could take out of anything from the first 4 games you have to do against SFA that you think you can do?
We're really not to that point yet, but I think just thinking of what, like I said, defensively, we have to quit giving up the big plays. I think that's the biggest defensively. Offensively, we have to be a lot more consistent in what we're doing. At times, we have ran the football. At other times, we haven't. At times we've thrown it and caught it really well. We did not the other night. So I think we have to put together, and I think our football team understands that, and we understand that as a staff. We have yet to put together where, hey, we're playing. We feel like we're playing as good as we can in all 3 phases of the game, and it's part of the growing process. And hopefully, we can accomplish that this Saturday.
Coach, what are you seeing in particular Weaver and the quarterback, the effectiveness of their quarterback, and then now Barnes, senior, obviously grad senior quarterback for Barnes for Utah State. In regards to your defense, what are you seeing in regards to the problems that they're having with these mobile athletic quarterbacks?
I think some has been assignment. Some look, we got to do better as a staff, no doubt, and then some of it has been tackling. If you go back and look at it, but I think in some situations, especially last Saturday, guy's pretty good too, stuff. So I saw him do it 3 prior weeks also. So I think it's a combination of things, Rick. I mean, if it was just one thing that I could go in and fix, I'd already fixed it. So it's just a combination, I think, and some of the things too that I don't mind telling you, but I talked to the players last night too. Is we have to, I think, play with more confidence, and I keep telling them, go make a play. I mean, we'll worry about it later. See it, go get it. And I think we have to put them in better positions as a staff, and I have to continue to try to build our confidence too. I think as players, and stuff, and to where you just go out and play the game. And because I don't know if you watched the game the other night, but I felt like too some of it we're on our heels. We're kind of waiting for it to happen rather than go make it happen. And that's something that I think the more some of these guys play, like I said, I mean we have some guys on our football team that I'm excited about that for whatever various reasons through the last several years they haven't played a lot, but I think they're good players. And part of that process is to trust what you see and go get it. And so we're going to continue to do that, and I'm going to continue to encourage them, like I did last night. I mean, it was part of my talk last night. These 2 young men were in there, and hey, you got to go. Don't wait. I mean, see it and go get it. And because I saw a little bit, I think the last 2 weeks, not so much against Lafayette, but the last 2 weeks, a little too much indecision or lack of confidence to just go play. Go play the game. And if you're playing full speed and whatever, you're going to make mistakes. That's just part of it. But you're also going to make plays. And so I'm going to continue to encourage them to do that. And part of that is on us as coaches to put them in the positions that they feel more confident in. And so it's both ways. It's not just players. I put that on us as a staff and on me as a head coach. That's part of my job, is to put them in positions to where they have the most confidence.
This Stephen F. quarterback, he's also a senior. What do you see already early on film that you're going to have to really focus on?
He does a really good job of running their offense. He's an accurate thrower, I know, and from some of the stuff I saw last year. And but I think offensively, as from our defensive standpoint, I mean, they're going to be a lot closer to Weber. He doesn't run. He will run, but the guy from Weber, actually, I mean, they had quarterback run stuff in for him. Stephen F. hasn't done a lot of that, but he can definitely throw it. And to be 100% honest, I haven't even got to their offense. So,
John Coelho's coming into the year was one of the more experienced guys.
Mhm.
You were able to get him in the game. Did you see anything from him? Obviously, got the interception.
Yeah, I mean, in the plays he played and stuff, and it was a great interception. But unfortunately, when he laid out and caught the ball, I mean, he came down on his ribs and stuff. So we'll see how he moves forward from here. But he didn't play again after that. So I think he played 7 plays. I think 6, 7, something like that. Is that about right? Yeah. But he didn't come back in the game. So.
Do you get to use the whole phrase about fresh start with a conference starting, or is that kind of a way of thinking?
No, I mean, we talked about that last night too. If we were, right now, if we were 4-0 or 1-3, I mean, we would still be 0-0, going into this week. So, yeah, absolutely, we had that conversation last night.
Do a couple more if anybody got anything.
Real fast, Citizen, 2 straight games, I remember, with breakaway runs.
Yeah.
Does he need more carries? Is it volume? Are you seeing something where you could pound him a little bit more, that you might get more production out of him, or you're going to continue to?
No, we're going to continue to. I always look at it for the. Unfortunately, I think been in situations and in seasons where, I mean, you end up with injuries and stuff, and one guy has to do it or whatever. But we continue to do it, because I always look at it for the course of 12 games. And having guys available. So I don't think that's necessarily the case with him, Rick. I think we have 3 talented backs. Colby was out a couple weeks, so we had 2. Plus, we also used Jalen Thompson, which we're excited about. This week, going into this week of preparation, which I have not seen the players do anything. Bryce Strong looks 50-50 probably, because he came out of the game the other night with his hamstring. So we got Colby back now, and we're going to use Javonte. We're going to use Colby. We're going to use Jalen Thompson, and hopefully we'll get to use Bryce also. But to me, that's the nature of the position, running backs. I mean, you can't, especially early in the season. I mean, you have to run guys and stuff, and you have to play multiple players, because that's just the nature of the position.
Okay, you got something?
Yeah, I guess just through your first 4 games, you've kind of played different levels of teams with FCS, 2 FBS schools and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have
What kind of major takeaways do you have from these first 4 games that you're taking into conference play that you liked and want to improve upon, I guess?
I think well, that's a good question, but I think what I've liked, getting to the last thing you asked, is I like the effort and the what's the word, the want to that these players have. I think that they've went out and played with really good effort, and you can see that. I can see that. I've liked the competitive spirit. We were playing hard the other night. I mean, it's just we weren't playing as good as we needed to play, but so I've liked that part of it from the players. The part that I don't necessarily like, and it reflects on me as a coach, is I think we're better than what we're playing. If you just from a talent standpoint and stuff, and so our job as coaches, and it starts with me. I mean, we got to get them in the right positions to where we can play better. And but I have not, and we have not as a staff, one time questioned the effort or questioned. I mean, the other night we didn't turn the ball over, and we only had 3 penalties for 20 yards. I mean, that didn't hurt us, and stuff. But so hopefully, you can do those types of things and stuff, and not do the things that are getting yourself beat. But we have to play better, and that starts with us as coaches. So,
All right, coach, appreciate it.
thank y'all very much.